Hello, good evening and welcome to your Lurgan. We're in the close season of the Armagh Football Championship and Leagues. We're here at the minute with the kind sponsorship from Ecigsrus, from Eugene Creaney and William Street and Lurgan. We've got to the stage where any team that's representing Armagh are now in the Ulster Championship. Sean Tracy's are playing very shortly. Clonard Miners are still there, and we're going to move on to do a review of the year, looking back at the league and the championship season with Tommy Coleman from your Lurgan and from Ecigs and William Street. Once again, Tommy Coleman, you're very welcome to another Your Lurgan podcast. We're here in Ecigsrus in William Street for a review of the Armagh Club and Championship season. Tommy, it's been one of those memorable years. The memory for me sticking out of all the things I'm looking back at, we're going to talk about Cross McLean later on down the line, was when they got the goal against Norrie in the first minutes and the hunger they had. I said to myself, goodness gracious, we're in for another 20 years of dominance. But before we go down to the Club Championship and the Intermediate Championship, the breaking news locally in Lurgan this week was, I was talking to his dad on Wednesday night, your captain from last year, Tommy Shea Heffron, one of the top, I call him a prince of full-backs, one of the top defenders in the county, will be missing next year. There's two questions. How much is he going to be missed? And secondly, can Clonard replace him?
Well, he's definitely going to be missed. Shea's, he's been the heartbeat of the team, both on and off the field. He's just a rock. What you say when you're sitting out your team, you always get your defence sorted out first. And he was always the man that was always going to take number 3 there, and 3 or 6, one of the two, and everything was going to be built in around him. And as I said, one of the time we were picking captains. There wasn't even a question mark about it. So he's going to be he's a massive void to fill. There's no doubt about that there. But we'll have a good lot of young players, and it's now is the opportunity for somebody to stand up, take that opportunity and hold down a good spot. Shea, I will say about Shea was, when you look at the way Cian McConville played in this year's final, and Shea held him scoreless last year. Up at that there, he was talking about playing the championship and everything else, but it just shows you the performance that Shea put in that day. But it was absolutely wonderful. It was just top class, and he led from the front that day, and he just inspired everybody else around him.
He's going to be a miss, Tommy. Obviously, anybody that has statue who's head boy to St Michael's, great player through the minors and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, when you have Johnny Tyrone probably coming back, you Ryan Owens probably coming back to full fitness, maybe TK coming back. I took Ryan Mean a wee bit of time last year to adjust, so there is quality coming through there. Even though Shea's going to be a huge miss, I think could they maybe fill that gap a wee bit with those quality players that they have.
Oh yeah, and as I say, there's young players there who are going to get the opportunity there to stand up and stick their place for the team. During this league campaign. Hopefully Ryan comes back. He's near there now, and hopefully we're fit for the start of the year. And obviously it's going to take him a few games to get himself back going again. Brian Meehan was in and out of the team again last year, probably took him this season just to get himself flying again, so hopefully he has an all good winter over him here, and he'll be back and ready to go. Johnny Tyrone's an all player who towards the end of the year got back to fitness, so all these lads, and then you have the younger lads that are coming through. Owen McCaffrey, he had an injury, so hopefully Owen's going to be fit and ready to come back. But there's all these ifs and buts, but the bottom line is Clonard, we have a lot of talent within the club, and Shea's going to be an enormous miss, and these players are not easy. It's hard to take their place, and get somebody to fill the position. But we have a lot of players there who hopefully are quite capable of stepping up there.
And a good management team, Tommy, too.
Yeah.
This time of the year, the talk sometimes the games get a bit bored. They talk about blanket defence. This time of the year is more talk about who's in charge of the teams, who's taking the teams. St Paul's a new manager, Ron Clark, are waiting word in Clonagale. It may take a while till their AGN comes through for you who's going to be in there. But Ronan's in with St Paul's, obviously a lot of quality there, a lot of experience with Armagh. But again, Shane basically stepped down 3 or 4 days after the championship final, so he's going to be a hard act to follow. But what do you know about Ronan's background? I know he played for the county, but Ronan's there. He's a decent job on his hands to rebuild the boys after that defeat against Shane O'Neill's, to be fair.
Yeah, I think, from all accounts, Ronan was up at St Paul's taking a few sessions here and there, so I know Shane's has big commitments elsewhere this year, and so the plan, it was probably a long-term plan anyway, everything was put in place there. Ronan Clark's very experienced man. You know, he took Tommy Coleman to the junior championship like 6-7 years ago. He's been at Monaghan Harps. He's been at Furious Aldergrove. Where else? He was at Silverbridge. He was at GAA. So he's been around the back. He's been at a few. So, and he knows the layout up there. I know he's very impressed with the facilities and how would you not be? Suppose the facilities is second to none. So Ronan's got all the attributes to do a real good job there, and just everything else is the players, and hopefully the players, you know, some of them maybe are thinking of maybe retiring, that was the top, but hopefully they'll consider that there and hang on in and give it another year and give it another push and see, you know, after coming so close this year, hopefully, you know, they'll give it another go and see if they get over the line.
Well, I'll have to admit, Tommy, to be fair, I was on the way there in the steps to talk to Shane McConville at the championship final. I'm sure you were there 5 minutes, and then due time they looked like they were over the line, and they could see that really had goal, a heartbreaking goal. Shane's had scored a goal in the first minute and a goal in the last minute, and St Paul's, I thought, dominated through that there. How did you see that there? Well, did it pay for the wides basically? There's a lot of wides during the game.
I was actually at our ladies game that day, so I didn't get that. I actually missed that one. But you know, you have to remain totally focused right through it. You know, it's 65, 70 minutes, whatever the game, you know, whatever length of time it is, you have to, you know, you just don't think that you have it in the bag. And it only takes one lapse of concentration and you can get them score. You can get the, you know, that critical score. 2 points is always it's a dangerous lead to have. We all know that there. Everybody's been involved in the game, and you know, it just takes that one score, and that's what happened. There was one flick on, and then it went. But by all accounts, you know, St Paul's had multiple, you know, the possession, with you know, the fast, the land share of it, and you know, they kicked an awful lot of wides, and the big wide count, and just they all just tally up on the end of the day, and that's what we're taking them. But at least to know, you know, as heartbreaking and all as it was for them, and a sitting there to take, you know, hopefully they'll just get the resolve, they'll come back stronger and not hurt that they have. You know, energise that into their training programme next year, and give it a real good go again next year. But it's again, it's going to be a difficult,
hard to come back from.
A difficult championship to win when you consider the teams that's going to be in it next year.
Ironically, Tommy, what actually happened was when St Paul's were beat, St Peter's then were promoted, along with Shane O'Neill's, and they went into what people are calling now a group of death with Silverbridge, Clan and Gael, Murray's in it, Grange are in it, Drummond T are in it, so St Peter's are in there at this minute in time. I know the rallies got into that group, but that division is seriously competitive.
Yeah, you know, Sarsfield's in it, Pierce Oaks, mention them, they're in it, and Collyhanna, of course. It will be a very hard outfit to, you know, to be to that level, knowing that the county men about, but it's a group there where, you know, on any given day anybody can beat each other. It's just going to be that they're competitive. I think that's what the Armagh leagues, the way they're set up down there with the 8 teams, there's no gimmies. You know, and you know, it'll make interesting reading. And you know, St Peter's are on the lookout there for a manager too. Davey stepped down after 4 years, so he's done a great job with him as well. And you know, he's got them solid in them. And somebody else said he'd have to come in here and there and pick up the pieces there. But it's a very challenging division. You know, you look at the quality that's come down, and you know, you take Mahoney and Drummond T, when they have everybody out as well, they're not that bad a team. Once you've seen again what they could do when they played again across in the championship, you know, they had them right there to the wire. We were just crossed them in extra time. At the end of the day, Tommy, before we go on to the senior championship, there's a lot of talk about there. Obviously, Macross coming back with great intent. But your own club again, this time last year you were there with the senior men, this time the ladies have done the double. They brought the Marie Howe Cup back, and we're missing not to mention what they have done down there. James Daly has stepped down, Luke Connor are looking for a manager at the minute. But basically, you know, building on last year, there's a lot of work into the ladies, a lot of work on underage. Your girls are still playing, but Clonard is still the team that made at ladies level in Armagh, obviously. Up they are high, you know, and that there comes, you know, everybody wants to beat them. It's the same as the men's, and everybody wants to be across McLean, but that there just comes from your measure of your success that you have on the field. You know, Clonard have continually turned out, you know, at ladies level, top players, you know, over this last 20-25 years, and you know, and you can see with the championships that they've won. And you do get them wee lull periods where you do certain players go and you have your bad years as well, but you know, you look that there will be a retirement there, but that just gives the opportunity now. You have a minor team who's gone to the minor final, I think, there, or the semi-final, whatever, and they're still in the run, you know, and we won the under 16 Division 1 under 16 championship, we won the under 14 Division 1 championship, so we have a great breadth of players coming through. So that only argues well for the next few years, you know, and it may be taking a year or two for get some of them players to come up and step in, you know. Sinead Kieran and you know, it'd be a lot to ask of Sinead that keep travelling up, you know, from across McLean and Maeve Moe. I don't know what way Maeve Moe's fixed. Laura Brown, I think, is retired. So there is a lot of players there's going. It's an end of an era. You know, look at Mags, she got her 11th medal the other day, and that's her done. And you know, these girls have been great servants to the club, and we've had some great days, you know, and some went games away with them, you know, and qualified in all Ireland, you know, at the immediate level there, and we got down, you know, I think of the great days that we had, but you know, all great things must come to end, and now hopefully it's the start of a new year. Well beaten this year in the Ulster Championship by a very good Donaghmore side who just don't seem to be beaten in their own home patch. Very difficult team to beat, and you know, they're on the way. They're Sunday week. They're back in an all-Ulster final, which I firmly expect them to go on and win again. You know, and challenge again for national honours. So.
But the team last year, Tommy, the team were down a wee bit. They were beat twice by Harps 2 years in a row. Harps won it twice. They're going for 3 in a row. And struck Clonard and stopped them this year in David Park. But it seemed to be crucially important that the like of Laura Brown, Mags, Maeve Moriarty, Sinead Kieran all stayed on for that last year to bring the young girls through. Then they won the championship, and now they can retire and say, look, we brought you this level, but got you back to the championship final, we won it. And that's a good stepping stone for them.
Of course, that's what, you know, the girls there, they're coming in, they want to finish on the high themselves, but the experience, that wealth of experience that they bring, that know-how that they bring, you know, is superb, and certainly the girls will all learn away from that there, you know.
Excellent. But Mr. McKeown okay there in the background.
Yeah, without cutting it, Jamie. Like, no, I'm okay.
You're fine. Tommy, we've mentioned the intermediate championship, mentioned St Paul's, you have the junior series, you have underage stuff. In the town in particular, considering we're looking at the Lurgan and local events at the minute, you've two teams have dominated this last 10-15 years underage level, Clonard and Clonagale. I know a lot of teams are doing a lot of work too, but as we've been almost should I say that Clonagale are now back where they were 30-40 years ago winning minor championships. So is that important to get that balance with Clonard as well, to keep that competitive nature going in the town as well as the county?
Oh, it has to be, yeah. You know, and you know, the more the profile keeps lifting, and as I said before, you know, when one club does well, another club feeds off it. And you know, it just gives you, you know, there's no reason, as I say, if you see your local rivals do it, then you have a belief that you can go on and do it, and that there, you know, we'll have, you know, I'm sure we were hoping that we will have some success maybe this year at minor level. We don't know, but we're hoping we know if we get a good enough team there, and hopefully we can push on and win a championship there this year. And that's the nature of the beast. You get up, you pick yourself up, you move on, and but the most important thing is by getting the players through, you know, and them players, you know, good young players coming through, and it's just introducing them into the senior setup at the right time, and playing them in the matches at the right time, and not to be expecting too much out of them, you know, and you know, just learn it and learn the trade as they go along, and you know. I think both Clonagale and Clonard are in a good position to do that.
Good stuff. Tommy, looking at the senior championship, Cross, for example, struggled a wee bit against Drummond T, struggled a bit against Silver Bridge. They didn't struggle against Mockery, and then they really went to turn against Greenmore, so it got better as it went along with Jamie Clark and Ciarán McConnell playing well. I know last year you didn't get the room, you get your shares. Like, they've reinvented themselves. We mentioned Stephen Kieran was under pressure, and that was a great safety. Race button, they got over the line in the championship final, but can you see them maybe dominating, or can you see any other teams come in maybe to challenge them next year? Because they're back to a decent team again, to be fair.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're going to be the team to beat. There's no question about that. Like, they're up there. They're going to be a team that we're all going to have to aim for. I don't think the gap is as big as what it was 10-15 years ago. I don't, you know, I really don't. I still believe that they can be taken. I think there's aspects to their game that they can work on, but what I do see and what out of that championship this year, I think anybody that's going to try and hold them out, it's not going to be successful.
Yeah.
You know, these are lads who are quite comfortable taking scores, and you know, any of them can do it. It's not just Rian O'Neill. You know, it's any of them taking scores 50, 55 metres out.
Yeah.
So the blanket defence to me is gone, and
Doesn't work with them.
no, and I think that, you know, if you're going to beat Crossmaglen, you're going to have to outdo them, and you know, you're going to have to score at least 16. And whether that comes in the shape of 210 or 115 or whatever the score be, that's, you're going to have to go get 16, 18 points, because that's what Cross score. There may be a wee bit less come Ulster because of the conditions, and the conditions are slower, you know, with the inclement weather and all this time of year and heavier pitches, but certainly, you know, if it's a half decent day at all, that's the kind of marker you're going to have to put up. And you know, I really think that Crossmaglen can really give us Ulster a real good check this year.
Probably will. Would you have any concerns about Mockery been maybe past or sell-by date without being disrespectful to him? I was talking to Stephen Hughes out the other night that the players meeting tonight, and Stephen's away to it.
Right.
Does that mean that he's going to stay or is he going to manage? But basically, there are a few boys here could maybe say that we've been there around the clock a wee bit, around the, you know, and maybe we may not retire, but they might come back and have another dig at it next year. But you know, they give us good service, Tommy. They give a lot to the county these last 10, 15 years, even from intermediate level.
Well, whatever happens to them, the Mockery boys will say themselves tonight, but one thing's for sure, them not so know anybody anything, you know, whatever they have to say, you know, it'll be taken well within the whole parish. That them lads are going to credit to everyone, you know. I would just want to be right there a bit here yet. They had a bad day again. Crossmaglen, we all were there, we seen it, but just, you know, you just didn't have it there. I feel that there is a certain rebuilding that'll have to go on in Mockery. Probably one day is the perfect position for it. You're going to have to introduce a couple of young players, get them going again get them introduced it this year, and then go for the championship again next year. You know, there will nobody wanting to draw Mockery in the championship next year. Regardless, you know, where they are. So that people want to avoid them, and you know, we're talking maybe going back to the group stage in the championship next year. Not everybody's in favour of it, to be fair. I wouldn't be in favour. I think, you know, you're right. It gets, you know, when it has that there, it gets a big buzz about the championship, and really, when you're in the group seedings there, but it would be, you know, it doesn't even really get going for me to start going to the knockout stage. Like, we have a group there, you're going to have Crossmaglen, and, you know, Crossmaglen finished in the top 4 this year, so they come in there. Like of ourselves, we finished 5th. We could be in that group with them. We're in the top 2. Mockery could be in the top 4, 1B. You know, and you could Clonagale maybe finished 4th or something, maybe a couple of boys injured and didn't get the draw in the league. And you could have a wide group like that there, and you know, it's, you know, but it's for me, it's
It's not very that sense. And that was a blessing last year too. Even with Cross had said, look, and then the big last year they could get back into the back door, got another game and got themselves into the seeded groups and off they went again. But as you say, that made the excitement last year, and you're out, and that was it. You know, so maybe but I think they are going to change it, aren't they?
Well, the talk is that they are going to go back to the old format, you know. Some people are for it, some are against it. They be old school, and don't you consider, just think, you know, the smaller, the so-called smaller clubs, the ones with the smaller panels and stuff, I think it makes it far more difficult for them to have to come through and play through a group stage. You know, maybe lost a player or two through injuries, and then they'll going in, maybe finishing 3rd in the group, and then having to play around before they get into the next round. And you know, I think it's an awful lot to ask for a thing, and I think it suits the bigger clubs and the bigger panels. And maybe they all argument of it's the 2, they want to see the top teams in the final, but I don't know. I think it's I think leave it the way it is. I leave it the way it is. It's been nothing wrong with the last 2 championships. And,
brilliant. You know, fantastic. Tell me, what do you expect to do with yourself over the next season? Do you think I'm taking it easy? I know you're down with Jordanstown. Have you any plans?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I haven't.
You're not going to say
I haven't committed anything yet. So
do you miss it?
I do miss you miss that involvement of it. There's no question about that there. You know, you certainly miss the buzz of it. The championship comes round. It really is.
Get-
You
gets
know,
to
you get in here, look, we're here, we're doing this, we're doing, you know, we just would have been actually like we had been built up to the, you know, our week before our final. Our final would be next week, and you know, that 3 week period. It was, you know, you think back to this time last year and what you were doing and what we were preparing. And it was just a great time. It was great. It was a privilege to be involved with it. It was just a privilege to be involved. It was in the community from everybody. You know, it kept us all. It was fairly short in the winter when we won it, and then we got the, you know, we got a couple of matches in Ulster and brought you right up to Christmas. And, you know, it was great. It was a great time.
I know last year, well, when you were there, a couple of lads came back, Ryan came back, Dackie Lane came back, Baylor came back, and were like instrumental in the championship for you and getting you over the line. What people are asking now, obviously with no football on, you know, Ryan Henderson, for example, if you were the manager, considering his level of fitness, would you encourage him to stay? If he's a fit lad?
I would encourage any player from any club, you know, if you still feel you can give it, to do it, because you're a long time retired. Once that goes, it's over. You know, career seemed to get a wee bit shorter there, but Ryan has done really. He's kept himself in great condition. Paul McKenna retired last year, and Conor Bell. Both of them had big influences on the way we played in the championship. Paul McKenna had, you know, when he came on, and again Mahi and Cross McLean had phenomenal performances. You know, when they bring that experience on in that there surround into them sort of games, he couldn't bet, he couldn't pay for it. You know, and him and of course there would be younger fellas too, and bringing them in around the same time, and everybody able to talk to each other. It was just it was perfect. But I would, any player from any club, you know, was considering I would, you know, retiring, to really think about it, and you know, they'll know their own bodies better than anybody else, and if they're able to go, they can go. But you know, if they feel that they're slow or maybe they're getting hampered badly by injuries, maybe it is the time to go. You know, that's
the reason I'm asking you is I think there's only the 2 men left from that 2014. Peter Rafferty had, he won the All Ireland under 21. Aaron Kearns one of them. Rand's the other one. I think may only be 2 still playing to that level. I don't know. I'm not sure Paul Duffy's still playing for Pierce Ocean, but when you look at Aaron Kearns' performances, Tommy, over his last season, has been something else, to be fair, at his age. He certainly looked after himself. But
Paul Duffy's still around about, he's still around about the Oaks, you know, great player he is. But you have to admire Aaron Kearns, the way he's played, and he played in the championship this year, and he's still getting up and down that field, and you know how he does it, the way he does it. He's been
created the role for himself.
He's been superb, you know, and it shows you when you have the dedication and commitment that they have. Like the boys just live, you know, Ryan would be out of the same, cut out of the same sort of stone. All they do is live for football, and they treat their bodies, you know, with temples, just, you know, to get themselves, to keep themselves in that condition, make an awful lot of sacrifices that people don't see, that they're able to do that. And you know, it's just their love of the game, and for the love of their club, that they keep doing it, and it's a credit all to them. And, you know, how long will it go on for? God only knows. It's what the appetite is, and you know, what way I suppose your body will tell you. And, you know, if you at that age, it just takes one wrong injury, and you know, your career can end for you. But these boys are flying here at the moment. So we'll say, I would encourage, as I said, you know, always keep playing when you can. You're a long time around.
You're a long time retired.
Yep.
But the county, tell me just briefly, looking back on it, you know, the Armagh ladies obviously still trying to get that All Ireland win. They've won the 2 Ulster reserves last way. But as far as Armagh's concerned, there's a real buzz back again in the beginning. You know, people were talking about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe he was struggling with the team, he's brought back Kieran Donegan. But Armagh had I think Kieran himself described it as a decent year, even though they beat the Galway in penalty kicks. Made me a favourite, maybe didn't fancy that either, but they've had a good year, Tommy, and looking at the league fixtures they're going to carry next year. They're going down to play Roscommon, Dr. Hyde Park. There's a lot for the fans that we're looking forward to be fair, with the county.
Oh yes, look, I think Donegan staying is a big bonus. I think he's brought a lot to the Armagh, you know, especially in the forward dimension and the way that they're playing the ball. There's certainly, you see a difference now in them and how quick they're trying to get the ball into the forward line, you know, and it's times really enjoyable to watch. I think the Ballygo Free game, that was a major disappointment not even was with the defeat. I think it was in the manner and way we played. I think the focus on the appeals and the rows that went prior to that there, it seemed to affect the players.
Deflection.
It was reflection for them all. It just didn't seem to be right. But you know, it was all made up for the next day. And at Clonus, it was a superb display. And then to say, you know, Galway could have went down the road, and so just the way it ended up was penalty kicks. That's just the way it was. It's not the way. I don't think any of us would favour, but that's the rules that we set out, and you just have to go by them and abide by it. You know, that's hopefully now the lessons are learned from last year, and we'll just go back bigger and stronger. And yeah, can't wait. Booked in the trainee.
Excellent.
Booked in with what?
Like a big no.
Oh, aye.
We have a house booked about 6 months in advance.
No, we're down in.
Everybody's looking forward to it, Tommy. You know.
Okay, yeah, and I think train's booked out at this stage. You know, people are out going to Killarney and stuff. So it's the big one. Everybody wants to go. You want to see the best players, so you want to go to GAA. You want to go. You want to see the Cliffords and these boys and
a packed house,
probably. And hope they're playing all. Just definitely be a packed house.
Yeah.
Be a packed house. I'm all probably packed on the road.
I know. They always do.
So you know, it's a very attractive fixture, and we'll look forward to that coming forward.
No Dublin Division One.
No Dublin Division One.
It's hard to believe.
But Dublin back up. You know, make no mistake about it. Come championship time, they're going to there.
Tommy, we lost through Gael basically recently, a man who played for Armagh Miners, who played for Clonard for years. I know the boys will be remember him in Clonard in their own way. He was buried today, the great and the legend Frankie Coleman from Town, who ended up playing rugby for Lurgan and ended up living in England, but he was sadly missed. Tommy, what would you remember about him as a player and as a person?
When we were young, Frankie was a bit older than me now, you know. When I was 14, Frankie was on the Armagh, he was on the 70-70, and we just all wanted to be Frankie Coleman. We just wanted all to be. That's who we aspired to be. He was our leader, you know. He was our man. He was Clonard as far as we were concerned. You know, then a couple of years later, in fact, for me, it was the privilege of playing with him for a number of years. Then, you know, and he was a great man. He was just he had so much talent. But you know, great thing about him was he was such a gentleman. You know, very inoffensive. And, you know, always made time for you. It didn't matter who you were, what you were. Frankly, always made time for you, but always be there to help you and give you advice. And you know, and it's just a sad day. And, you know, we're all after this year, we're heading up to Clonard and meet the boys. Just the memories. Yeah, just the way you've got the memories. You know, it's a feeling as if we couldn't get over there today in Derby, but. We're going to remember him in our own way.
That's nice to see. Tell me, what was it now? You're talking about, you mentioned Paddy Morrison there about the kicking coaches and all, and rugby and all. What was it about him? He could have the ball 60-70 yards. He had so much power. I mean,
I don't know. It's just that natural ability. When he had a kick, I suppose it's a bit like the golfer and the natural swing. He just had that there. It didn't matter what kind of ball, what the shape. You're right. He was able to put it down and just stroke it over. It was, you know, he was doing that for me. He was putting 50s and 55s over. He was 13, 14 years of age.
With some commands.
With some commands, you know, he won a Hogan Cup in 67. He was 14 years of age.
I think he won 4 in a row, did he?
He won with 2 teams as well.
Pats,
yeah, and you know, it's a remarkable achievement. And, to go on, I suppose the only thing that he didn't get, that he got intermediate medals and stuff with Clonard, and the thing that did by passing was the senior championship medal, which he would have loved. I know how much he would have loved it. And actually, the morning after the final last year, I got this message from Janice, his wife, and it was a picture of us and he had streamed it live, and the 2 of them were on Barbados, and they were then having a beer on us. Congratulations, you know. So he was still always in contact. He watched all the games. And, you know,
brilliant.
It's just a great man. It'll be a great loss. And you know, when we talk about great Clonard teams, and these conversations always come up from time to time. And we used to Per Craig, God rest John alone. he picked himself on the team in 3 positions one day. His best full back, best centre half back, and the best full forward.
Yeah.
But one thing was always there from all of us was Frank Coleman was always on the team.
Absolutely.
He was there, number 11,
Yeah.
and there was nobody else figured it out.
Well, I know
Frank Coleman
Don
was-
McKeown done a fantastic piece this week in your Lurgan. I'm sure everybody's
Yeah.
seen it. Sweetie Keane,
Yeah,
brilliant, and he showed the Clonard pictures of the minors. He kept them both 16s and 18s, but I was very young at the time. I was about 10, 1968,
yeah,
when they got the All-Ireland semi-final, the Armagh Minors.
Yeah.
Donny Traynor, Joe Scullion, Kevin Stevenson, Sheeny McGowan out of the Peters, Frankie Toman, so many good players. Big John,
That's
also
right,
full forward,
that's right.
and Frank, Kevin Stevenson. They had a good side as well, but Frankie was outstanding, and he just come off that run with some Coleman's and some Pats to play
Yeah.
in that minor team.
and he was, you know, he was one of the youngest on that team.
Yeah.
15, you know, and he was such a good player. So he's just ahead of his time. That's what he was, and you know, and he'll always be remembered in Clonard. He goes down in that folklore, and he goes down as one of the greats. He stands alongside
Yeah.
Isaac Henderson.
That was manager. Harry Hoy was another
Kevin
one.
Brown, and Harry Hoy was another one.
He was the manager at the time.
And you
Right.
another great man. Harry.
There you go.
Good man.
You spoke to him last year when you won the championship.
I spoke to him. We brought the '63 team up. You know, met the boys. And we had conversation. You know, and I would see Harry from time to time. And, you know, the whole thing last year sort of rekindled his love with the football and his interest in it. And I would see him regularly now Sunday mornings, and he's still love for the game. But frankly, he was certainly missed, and no more so by his family. You know, my thoughts and prayers are with his family at this year's sad time.
No bother, Tommy. Tommy, thanks so much. Tommy, we talk all night, but that's the great Frankie Toman remembered, and the load length of time we're running about after Armagh next January, February.